Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
How's it going?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
You know what? I'm doing well. I'm doing well today. Uh, I was able to angle the camera properly because I lifted it up a little bit because in behind me there's a lot of clothes everywhere.
You know what? Just behind my camera, I've got all my laundry piled up there, and I've got a hanging rail here, like on my right. So I
Yeah.
had to be
Well, I
careful with
want to
my
make it
angles
clear it's
today.
not because I'm a slob or I'm messy. It has nothing to do with it. What's going on is my floor in my bedroom has not been done yet. So I had to
Oh,
remove everything from the closets and put it onto the couch that I have behind me. So I was able to angle the camera properly that you will not be able to see all my clothes. And it's actually so you're actually kind of looking at my nose a little bit. It looks like
just a little bit, yeah.
yeah, just a little bit, just a little bit. Well, there's a lot going on. There's I don't even know where to begin on what's going on, but I will let everybody know in a couple of weeks, I am going to be flying to Nashville, Tennessee, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going for 4 days. I'm going fly out. Yeah, fly out. It's either Monday or Tuesday or something like that, and so I'll be there for 4 days, and I'm going to be filming some very popular locations within that area. There's one place where we have to drive to. It's about I think it's about a 3 or 4 hour drive. We know how that feels.
Yep.
And we definitely know how that feels when I was in the UK. So thank you to the Facebook users said they love the intro. Yes, we love that intro. We've been contemplating on changing it, but because we like it so much, it's hard to part with it.
It is. It's incredible. But since day one, we've had the same one, haven't we?
Yeah, yeah, and but with saying that, the person that made it would give us enough reason to change it.
Oh yeah, 100%. We don't talk about that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. But it's a great intro, and also as you probably saw after our intro was the global ghost hunt, which I don't know. Every time I see that video, it just gives me chills. I don't know if it's the music, the pictures, or it's whatever it is. It's just an amazing video, and I really, really, really think it represents the global ghost hunt and what we're trying to do really, really well. And I think that's why I enjoy it.
It reminds me almost like when a new film comes out that you've been really waiting for, and you finally get that trailer, and
Mm,
you know you've got a long way to go until you see it, but every you go back to it constantly, and you're just always overhyped about it, and that's what that does to me. It
yeah.
feels like I'm about to see something awesome, but I know I've got to wait for it, and I keep going back to that clip just to hype myself up even a bit more and more every day. It's awesome.
Yeah. I will let people know as well. Like I said, there is a lot going on. Parapost Network. Uh, I switched to a new server or a new host. That seems to be a lot of trial and error going on right now. Um, I don't know what's going on over there. I spoke to Jordan today. He's trying to figure out some things with the hosting because it's brand new to him. So he has to find out a lot of different things about it as well. The site is running faster. I will let everybody know. The servers have been going down for some reason. They went down yesterday, they went down the day before, and they went down last weekend as well. So he's trying to figure out why that's going on, but it's not at our end. It's at the host end, obviously.
Mm.
But hopefully that will all get straightened out. But what I do like is the site is a lot faster now. When you're uploading stuff, it's a lot faster. It's like seconds. It's up, which is
Nice.
great, which is what I wanted. So, and we don't have to worry about because the last server it would buffer a little while before something would upload, and that is gone. which is great. So being on a dedicated server is much better than being on a shared server, that's for sure. But again, being on a dedicated server, you're going to have a few more problems when it comes to servers going down. Like, unfortunately, we all want stuff to be perfect, but it isn't. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've gone through Facebook. I don't know what's going on with Facebook lately, but it's logging me out.
Oh, that's weird.
It's logging me out all the time, and then I have to log back in. Then it sends me a code. I have to use that code to log back in. So that's happening a lot. I don't know why that's happening, but it's been authenticated. Like, I think there's a two-step process that you have to go through. And the exact same thing with Parapost Network Central. I don't know how many times I've been on the page, and it's my page, and it's kicking me out. Like, I just don't understand what's going on. But so what's this? We're on Central News. What's this? Show your show on our page, Facebook. We are Haunted Central News and Reviews. We love to share and promote. Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So we got a great guest today. Stephen from Paralanx, who is, now I did put the owner of Paralanx, but he's one of many. There's a few other owners as well. But I reached out to Stephen because I've been mainly dealing with Stephen, even though I was on the Petri dish, and I've spoken to Chrissy a few times, but I've been mainly talking with Stephen most of the time. And if you guys don't know this, a couple of weeks ago, Parapost Network Central and Paralanx hooked up and started working together. And I've been waiting for this guest all week. That's Matt, obviously. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate that. It was about 2.5-3 weeks ago. We got into a meeting. We started talking. Obviously, this was the help of Matt bringing us together. And so we decided to work together. And I will tell you, over the last couple of weeks, his platform is growing. My platform is growing. Things are going extremely, extremely well. What I like about Stephen is that we're on the same page. And I put out a post today on Facebook about our partnership. And if you're interested in doing your show on either of our platforms, please reach out to us. I also put in there, me and Stephen are on the same page when it comes to this. I understand that a lot of people say they talk about Para-Unity and Para-Fam, but I really think we're on the same page when it comes to Para-Fam, because we are really working well together, and it's not about me. It's not about Stephen. It's about all of us. It's about all of us working together and building an incredible network, 2 networks, and it's happening. Stephen's getting a lot of new followers. I'm getting a lot of new followers. I've been around for 6 months, and I'm close to 3,000 followers now. And it's not for me. It's for people that are on the page doing their podcasts or their live investigations. It's about getting you new followers, you new likes. And I know a lot of people are out there and say the same thing. Well, I don't really care if I get followers and likes. I just love doing the show. That's great. Nothing wrong with that. But why not have a few more views? Why not have a few more followers? You know, you're bringing a guest on. I'm sure your guest would love to see, 14, 15, 20 people in the room. Not 1 or 0. Yeah. And it's also, it's your show, but it's also about your guest as well. You're bringing them on so people can learn about them and maybe go over and follow them and, talk with them and learn about them. So that's what it's really about. It's about not only the shows, but the guests we bring on, about building everyone. And what I love about Stephen and Howard and Chrissy, they're on the same page as I am about this, about growing, about, building a network that everybody can turn to and come to and really enjoy the platform. And that's what Stephen and his crew are building. That's what Parapost is building. And at the end of the day, I just love it. And I think it's great. And a lot of the shows on the page are growing, and that's what it's supposed to be about. You were going to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say as well that well, one, what Matt's just put in here, saying when you have multiple channels putting out great shows and content, growth is inevitable. And I think people forget about that. We've seen this before where people were a bit skeptical to put their show on a network. And
Yeah.
then it's like, but this is why, like, because the growth is inevitable when everyone comes together and helps one another. But the other thing I wanted to say is as well, when you're saying, when people, again, I understand the sentiment of, I do this show for fun, not for views and stuff like that, which is fine. We started this show on the same basis that I don't look at our view count a lot of the time. I'm just happy that we've got people in the room and it's great. However, look at the caliber of guests we've managed to get on as our numbers have gone up.
Yeah.
So we started this show just to interview really small YouTube channels and small podcasts, just give them a platform. And that idea is still here. We still do that, but we've gone from just having that to having, Patty Adams from GT and Paranormal on this show.
Yeah.
And that's a huge jump. And we couldn't have probably done that without having some platforming base of people coming to this show and wanting to put their time. Look how many people come to the show every week and watch the whole show. It's an hour and a half, 2 hour long show every week, every Sunday. We get people that watch the entire thing. That means a lot to certain people that want to come onto shows.
Yeah.
And when they see that people are going to invest their time into it, it's kind of like that. So there's a different aspect of growth for every part of the show. It doesn't mean you have to sell out your values and start caring, but I think it is, so for a show to be successful and continue, growth has to happen. And you just still don't have to care about it. You don't have to sit there and panic that you've only got 10 people.
Yeah,
in the
I
room,
get that.
but you
I
have
get
to
that.
work on it, man. Like,
But I
growth is
don't.
inevitable.
You know what? When somebody tells me that they don't really care about the views and followers and stuff like that, I respect that. I respect you saying that. But there's got to be something in the back of your mind going, God, I wish I had some more followers
But
and
also,
likes and views.
how many people, when people say it for their YouTube channels, well, you see a lot of them do it. I think I've said it before. But how
Yeah.
many of them do you reckon log on to their YouTube studio once a month and see if their subscriber count went up?
Everyone.
How many times do you think they go and check their latest video out and see how it's going in the ratings? Like, there's always a small part of you that you're curious about it. You have to know that you're doing something well, because that's how we measure how good our content is.
Yeah.
Realistically. So
No, I want to point this out for a minute. Sorry, Lex. I want to point this out for a minute. Let me bring it back up. And that's important too. Even if you miss the show, it's good to watch it back and see what's going on and sharing it out and stuff like that. There is a show coming up, and I forgot to talk, and I will talk to Lex about it. But there is a show coming up that Chris wants us to be on in December. And he's already booked me, but he wants you to come on as well. And I'm hoping because I've spoken to Chris a little bit over the last couple of weeks. I'm hoping Bald and Bonkers is going to be coming back to Parapost Network Central, and I have spoken to him about it. We hashed things out, and they were dealing with a lot. We were dealing with a lot, and it all centered around one person, unfortunately. And there you go. That's who's also going to be on the show as well.
Oh wow. Okay.
So that's December 3rd. We're booked for that, and if you're available, hopefully you're available.
Well, telling me this far away is a good idea, because I can speak to my boss and be like, I can do the daytime, just take me off in the evening.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to, and I told Chris at the beginning of the week or last week, you guys belong where you guys belong on Parapost Network Central. That's where, you guys did well, and it's time to come back. And they're obviously going to make that decision, but I'm hoping.
I don't want to say anything too open-winded, but is that because a certain soda sponsorship didn't get made?
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris. Just recalling what I've spoken about last time when I was told it was slanderous, but obviously true.
Yeah, that's funny.
But no, yeah, that's great to hear. Great to hear.
Yeah.
We're always good on the platform. Their show is also really good, so it'll be good to have them back.
Yeah. So I kind of got off track there. I was talking about Stephen and about Paralanx and stuff like that, and how we've hooked up, and we will contact you soon, Brian. Okay. Oh, they still have to deal with me every week. Yeah, of course,
Oh,
Raymond.
Raymond every week without fail. Yeah,
Raymond's Ray. I love Raymond, and you know the great thing about Raymond, I will be finally having the opportunity to meet Raymond on the 28th, with the location that we're doing on the 28th. So
oh,
that's going to be a
just
lot
be
of
careful, Brian. He does seem like
28th,
a
and
number
I'm
one.
not going to say the place because of certain reasons. But the 28th, it will be finally nice to meet Raymond
But you just got
and
to be
everybody else
careful.
who's involved. What's that?
You got to be careful because he's like our number one fan, and we all know what happens when number one fans meet the people. Yeah,
Oh yes, I never even thought about that.
you got to be careful. You could get killed.
I think
No
I
offense,
think I'm
Raymond. No
pretty I think I'm pretty safe with Raymond. And by the way, Irene, I saw your comment earlier about being too short. You know what they say? There's an old saying out there: "Great thing come in small
small
packages." I
packages.
think it
Jesus
is.
Christ, Brian. Yeah.
Is that
Oh,
what it
no,
is?
no.
I think that's what
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is.
great
Yeah.
things come in small packages. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So, Irene, you're a good person, and eventually we will get you on the show later on down the road. But why don't we get the show started? Stephen
No
has
problem.
been waiting in the background. Oh yes, Lex wanted to say something, and I want to point out this is not political. Go ahead.
No, but I didn't tell you about the third thing I want to say. So the first thing I want to say is obviously um, this week, everyone, I've seen it all over Twitter and some of the messages that people have been sending me, knowing that I'm from England, that it's been really well received. And thank you for the messages about Our Majesty the Queen passing away over here. Obviously, very sad for especially my family, who have lived in the same town and stuff like that and worked alongside. So it's been really, really cool to see some of the messages I've been posting out there. And the bit I did want to tell Brian is I just want to say a massive fuck you to Half Paranormal for waiting 2 hours to do a video on the Queen.
Oh,
Fucking prick. Knew he was going to do it. I put it on Twitter the minute I saw it. And I was like, of course he didn't wait to do another video, which is fine because we know he fakes everything. But Jesus Christ, dude, have some grace and decorum about your personality. Fucking hell.
do you want before we bring Stephen on? And I know what you're saying, and you can continue. Do you want to tell one of the stories from your? Because I know your father was associated. Is there
Mhm.
anything you want to tell a story about that before we start the show?
Don't want to go too much into it really because it's. I think
Okay.
I've said it before, but my father was in the army, and after that he was a servant. Well, not servant, but he worked with the Queen, or for the Queen, like directly. So with the royal family. So they've been very close to us for a little while. I've met her. I've met the Queen on I think five or six occasions.
But you also met her grandkids too, which is
Yeah, I had
pretty
a drink
cool.
with them, and I remember I've had
Prince
twice.
William or Prince Harry?
Both of them. So
Both of them.
there's
Okay.
there's a picture of me somewhere where I'm sat in between both of them, but I'm like really young, so I didn't know who they were at the time, and I'm just sat between them with my little Coke, and they're just on like either side of me. So that was really
Well,
cool. So,
not much has changed then, eh? Because you
no,
got the
no,
Dr Pepper going on.
nothing at all. But like, so I mean that's why I took what's happened last week really to heart because it's been the royal family's been a massive part of my life the entire. I'm not even a royalist, but I don't hate the monarchy or anything like that. It's just I've grown up with it. So to see it now gone, well, the Queen now gone, it was really upsetting for me and my family, and as well as a lot of Brits. So it's been great to see some of the love that's been put on Twitter from, especially abroad. Canadians have done a great thing with it. I've seen some great posts from America. So it's been awesome. Anyone who's been saying negative stuff is just a prick. So I've just been blocking them left, right, and center.
Oh, God.
But it has to happen. It's the internet, so it happens.
Yeah.
But that was that. So I just wanted to say that one, and then secondly, I just wanted to say that again, my thoughts, prayers, wholeheartedly go out to any members of Americans whose families were lost in 9/11, which is obviously the anniversary today. So I just wanted to say again, it's a day no one will ever forget, never should forget it. And again, any relatives for anyone who was affected by that, my thoughts are with you on today as well. So, but thank
Yes,
you for letting me
definitely.
say that stuff, Brian.
Yeah, no worries.
And again, just fuck you, half paranormal. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. What a jerk. Like
It's
seriously.
literally timed it as soon as it happened. I was at work. I came home from work 2 hours later, video up, and I don't follow him. Someone put it on Twitter that, oh, of course he's already done one. So I went to the channel to check it, and yeah, it's a session with the Queen. And I was like, okay, so you're just reversing some more ASMR videos and putting them on a video. He's an absolute dick. And we speak about this stuff in the paranormal all the time, that people that do like celebrity deaths on the day
Yeah.
they die and stuff. And I
Yeah.
hate the premise anyway. Should never do it. But just 2 hours later, and people in the comment section of that video are screwing at him for it. But then he's got his other ones that are like, who wholeheartedly believe that he's not faking anything.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah, so it just really pissed me off when I saw that. So I just wanted to make it very clear. As we know, I don't hide anything on this show.
So who said that? Somebody said that. Oh, there's Chris. Chris said this.
Yeah, 100%. 100 by definition. You look at the dictionary, it's his picture next to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, so
I keep
anyway.
on getting off track, talking about Stephen and Paralanx. Yeah, so 3 weeks ago, like I said, we got talking. We decided we were going to partner up and really build both platforms, and they're doing extremely well. So during the week, I asked Stephen if he wanted to come on the show today. He was more than welcome to come on the show, which I was really happy about. And I think it's good for people to meet some of the people from Paralanx. I know most people know Stephen, but if you haven't, I'm trying to focus. Chrissy, I really am. I'm trying to focus, but I keep on getting off track. I don't know why. Anyways, it's one of those days. There's been a lot going on this weekend. So anyway, so let's bring Stephen up. Again, he's one of the owners from Paralanx. I think down the road we'll get Howard on. We'll get Chrissy on. We'll get everybody on that's over in Paralanx, and I think that will make it. Listen, Brian. Listen, you people.
I keep hearing people keep putting listed in the chat, and I don't know.
Yeah, I know. That's from Chrissy. Chrissy is
okay.
saying is listen. So anyway, so let's bring Stephen on. He's one of the owners of Paralanx, and I am ecstatic to know him and to now be partners with him on both networks. Here we go. Here's Stephen. There he is.
Hey, buddy.
Sorry, Stephen. That was a lot
Hello.
longer than we normally do. We don't normally go that long. I'm sorry we kept you in the back for that long. I apologize. What's going on here? This where did this all begin? I have to ask from Chrissy on Listen. Where did that all begin?
So, with the Chrissy thing, that it kind of hold on, let me get this. On a show, she kind of, I guess Howard or somebody was getting on to her, and she was just like, "Listen, get it together," and
I think mine is
it was
really
just the loud way that Chrissy does it.
really. Chrissy's great. I've watched.
Really?
Yeah, really seems to be mine. I think I said that a lot when I was in the UK, right, Lex? I think I said really a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've tailed off from it a little bit, but I don't say as much as I used to. Well, I want to say thank you for coming on today's show. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure you heard everything we said about Paralanx and so far, even after 3 weeks on how well it's been doing, I'm seeing every day the followers, the likes. For example, the insights on, and obviously I haven't looked at the insights on Paralanx, and I'm sure you follow them, but I've been looking at the insights on Parapost Network Central, and even in the last 3 weeks, it's gone up almost 2,000 engagements. And the likes has gone up over, I think it's around 290% in the last couple of weeks. So it's just growing and growing and growing, and which is what we originally spoke about when we decided that we were going to work together. And what's going on over at your page when it comes to the insights? Because obviously, with me being an admin on that page, I get all the notifications when there's new followers. But even in the last couple of days, I think there's been 30 or 40 or 50, somewhere in that area on the follower count for you guys.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's been a good constant. I mean, it's been not really a plateau, but it's been a real constant, and it's growing pretty fast on our end. And I get the same thing with me. I get the same analytics as that you get,
Yeah.
and I've been watching both, and it's man, I don't know what to say. It shocked me. It shocked some of the other people in the network that it's growing as fast as it is.
Yeah, and I know we spoke last week, and and you even
Yeah.
said to me when we started talking, like you were blown away on what's happening, and that's all it really took, like just two networks that have the same ideas and the same morals and the same thoughts coming together and able to build. I don't know if it's ever, I don't know, maybe it'll get to the point where it will be just one platform that later on down the road. But for now, it's just two platforms that are just growing. And I've had a couple of people reach out to me and they said, wow, like what's going on with your page and Paralanx? Like you guys are just killing it. You're killing it right now. And is it going to be the number? Is it going to be the number one and number two networks on the platform? I hope so. I hope so. And which means, and I told you this when we had that meeting, that will only bring more shows, more live investigations wanting to come over to the pages, and because they see the growth and they see what's happening and they see, and I think people really see when two networks are working well together and they have the same ideas and the same thoughts and the same morals and even some of the same issues that we've been through together are the same too. And I think it's just phenomenal. So anyways, so let's get started. Lex, you want to start this off?
Yeah, so I'm going to start with obviously the same. I would touch base more on the network in a moment, but I wanted to get your introduction to the paranormal side of things and what got you into the paranormal to start with.
Okay, so what got me into the paranormal to start with was when I was a young child. Um, so when I was very young, I used to take trips with my parents, like family reunions, through a little town. And that little town, it had a kind of a dark storied past from the 1800s, where a guy was hung and in the courthouse. So we would drive around it, and my parents, I don't know if they did it to torture me or give me nightmares, because it did. Um, that's this guy that was hung. He was professed to be an innocent man, and when they hung him, lightning struck and cast his face up into the window of the courthouse. So they tried to change it through the years, and his face always comes back. So as a young child, that kind of gave me nightmares, and oh wow, I'm talking 5 years old. It wasn't until I was a teenager till I actually understood what it was and what it was about. But what really got me into the paranormal was when I was 17 years old, going out and with a girlfriend one night. We pulled into an old Confederate cemetery in the state of Mississippi. Um, that being said, we both saw at the far corner of the cemetery, and when we left, we saw the building, and we were kind of to stay away from the building, uh, but parked at the front side of the cemetery. We're talking about a cemetery off in the middle of the woods that nobody, no houses or anything around. Uh, the next, a couple days later, I came back with some friends, and when we pulled up, something wasn't right, and looked around. That building wasn't even there. So I'm like, wait, this is a 2, 3 story building that was over there. So we started walking around. We could actually see the foundation of the building, but there were trees growing through where the actual building should have been. Um,
Mm.
so me being 17, I went straight to the library and started looking up stuff. And what that was And to the picture of what we found in the library of what we saw that night was the old field hospital that was set up at that cemetery. And according to those articles, that building was torn down in like 1902. So
Wow.
we were actually seeing an apparition of a building that night when my car headlights hit that building. And so that clicked with me. Of course, the stuff that I had in my childhood and different things like that, that really sent me on my journey into paranormal. That's when at 17 years old, still in high school, I went and created a paranormal team. And doing a paranormal team, had a couple of family members and stuff like that. We decided to do local haunted places in that town. And man, God, see, I'm 46 years old right now. So from the time I was 17 years old was my first paranormal team I had. So I've been in the field ever since then.
Wow. Sorry,
Yeah,
Lex, are you cutting out there? I
yeah.
thought-
Sorry, my fucking wires coming loose.
Ah,
But
okay.
no, I just wanted to say that's definitely a story I've not heard much of before. Do you have any theories as to how a building would have apparate, or do you think something was giving you the image so it could show you? Is there any theories behind that?
I don't think it was because I have extra, because the person in the car that was with me, of course, she saw it as well.
Mm.
And as far as I know, she has no intellect or anything into the paranormal, no um, gifts or anything like that. And I really haven't contacted that person in many, many, many years. Um, but for us both to see it, so I actually did some more research of the area, and certain times at night and different energy and the limestone in the area, I
Hmm.
would say it probably would project something, just the energy.
Mm.
I've never ever I've heard a lot of different stories, and I've heard a lot of over the last year and a half, a lot of different people's origin stories, but not once have I ever heard, even in my time of doing this, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, okay, apparition, yes, of a spirit, yes, but not an apparition of a building. Like, that is just odd. Like, have you heard of, like, anything like that, Lex? I've even in your even with the amount of people that you speak to, has anybody ever told you that?
No, I mean the closest thing I've ever heard is where people have gone into haunted buildings or like old hospitals and stuff, and they walk into a room and they see everything how it should have been. I've heard of that, where something is projecting through them, so they can see they can see the olden times in the hospitals and stuff. I've heard of that. I've never heard of something to that scale before, and that's why I asked, do you think something was giving you the image of it so it could show you something? Because that's a wild thing to be to see, and
Now,
definitely a
Well,
one-off.
yeah,
I mean,
sorry, guys. There's a place not too far from me. Well, it's about an hour and a bit, and I think a lot of it's residual, because this guy died on a motorcycle, and well, he didn't die on the motorcycle. He got in a crash and hit the fence, hit a rock, and died. But every so often, people will see a headlight of a motorcycle coming down the road and it disappearing. Like, I've seen that. Like, I've heard stories about that, but not a friggin' building. Like, so I wonder if it has any truth to what Lex is saying. That vision was actually given to you, not actually it was there. Do you understand what I mean? Like, I think it's highly possible. You know.
well, the one thing, I've never witnessed anything like that ever again after that. Not like a building.
Mm.
That was the first and last for me. Um, and for a long time, I would never tell anybody about it because how outlandish it is. But like I said, throughout the many years that I've never had another phenomenon like that.
It's
Wow.
definitely something that would be definitely like a one-off. You don't. I mean, I can't imagine many investigators have had that experience. I would say that's why I've got that theory of projection, because if you and your friend saw it, then there's like something must have been made, like with using both the energy was just to project that image to you. Could it have been possible that in the demolition of the building someone was killed, and or someone's under the foundation and they're trying to
Um,
show you, or have you found anything about the old hospital that debunks that a little bit?
I mean, think of it this: this was a Civil War hospital, 2-story building.
Mm.
Think of how many of those people that were in that cemetery went through that hospital.
Mm.
Think of what they went through, because back then they didn't have modern medicine. When you got blown up or something, they sawed arms off. Those people went through the most trauma that probably anyone that I could ever imagine.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, and Chrissy's, and what Chrissy says here, a lot of people died in the building. So there could have been a lot of different, spirits trying to show you what happened in that moment, or what was going on there. Could be various different reasons why that was happening, but it's really really interesting. Um, that's
Oh,
long.
real quick, the cemetery itself was it was an unknown. So all the soldiers that were buried there were unknown soldiers, and on the tombstones it says the unknown. There are over 2,400 graves in that cemetery. So that means
Mhm.
every one of those 2,400 souls went through that hospital.
Jesus.
Wow.
Have
Wow.
you have you been back there and seen it again? Have you ever gone back to that
I
site
haven't
and
been back in a long time. Uh, back back when I was younger, but you got to think. I mean, I moved away from that town when I was
mm,
21 years old. Uh, joined the military, and my life began. So I've been all over the country, everywhere since then. Uh, we did do several different investigations there at that site, but since then I have not been back.
Wow. Wow. Could you just moving on here? Could you tell us about a latest investigation you've done, or one that's possibly coming up?
The latest investigation that I've done was Mineral Wells, Texas. My wife and I were invited to be special guest speakers there, and
Okay.
so we did. We broke off from the main group and did our own paranormal investigation, but also we did a live on the Paralanx platform of our entire investigation. We had a couple people from the event itself that, like one of our new show hosts, Andrew, he was actually tagged along with us during our investigation. Pretty successful event and investigation. And the place that the Mineral Wells, Texas, the Texas Scaregrounds, where this was going on, is the place they have the famous Chelsea doll that was seen on Destination Fear, which they
Okay.
named it Chelsea after Chelsea on Destination Fear because she on that show, that particular doll had a black mask coming out of it on the show. So now they have that doll kind of in a little special area there. So we did a pretty decent investigation on that doll itself. Uh,
Mm.
the investigation's coming up. I'm open for anything.
I think we all are.
Don't
I'm
don't have
looking
anything
forward.
planned.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to when I fly out to Nashville and get into those several different places. It's going to be a lot of fun, and the one I'm looking forward to only because of the history and the amount of people that have gone there and stuff like that. But there's one place I'm really looking forward to that I've seen quite a few videos on, and I think some have been really good videos, some have been not so good. Um, because I think it's depending on obviously what you capture and stuff like that. But I'm definitely looking forward to that, and I think we're going to be doing about 4 or 5 investigations. So, and I will let people. Well, there's one place that I'm really looking forward to doing, and that's obviously Bob Mackey's, and it's very obviously it's very very famous, and looking forward to that investigation. So just moving on, yeah, good. Lex, I know this one's yours, so go ahead. I was going to take your question.
You
there
know
for a
this
minute.
one's mine.
Well, no, I'm not saying this one's yours. What I meant, not the question itself. I meant
Wow.
this is your time to ask a question, but I was just about to ask him a question. And
Yep,
yeah.
you are right. It does say it's my time. Yeah, it does say that. So, before I just want to kind of segue off this question just a little bit, just to go with what's just been said with you guys and by Irene. What's your thoughts? And this will lead on to my next question. But what are your thoughts on haunted dolls? Do you think they are as prevalent as everyone makes out to be, or do you think it's a special and rare circumstance?
Let me see. Where do I begin with that? I think they are a rare circumstance, but they're out there because that particular doll that we investigate, and I'll call them vessels.
Yeah.
I'd say it's almost like a Dybbuk box. But I'd say they're rare. But now, since they've become popular, since somebody found a particular doll that was whatever, now everybody owns a doll. But there are two that I've come across. Of course, it's that Chelsea doll, and then there was one in the Masonic Temple in Salina, Kansas, that my ex teammate got gifted. But we found it in a costume room, and the oddest doll. I wish I had pictures of it, but the Masons actually cut the top of the head of the doll off, put a glass dome on top of it, poked the eyes out of the doll, and put like CO2 cartridges back in for the eyes, and then filled the top of the dome of the doll with different artifacts. I actually was able to take that apart and find out some of those artifacts were from like the 1920s and stuff like that, when that building was very active. Definitely period stuff and artifacts, almost like a time capsule. But that doll itself had a energy to it. And I had my first Paracon in Cloudcroft, New Mexico, and I had my really good friends George and Kara Shoplet come to that Paracon, and that doll was there. We just kind of brought that doll along for whatever. So Kara Shoplin actually had dowsing rods, and she let me hold the dowsing rods, and she held the doll, and I had them straight. And whenever she would move, whatever direction, those dowsing rods would follow that doll. I mean, to the point. They never left that doll. So I'm like, okay, I'm skeptic. Maybe it was circumstance. Maybe maybe it's just coincidence. So I let someone else hold them. Same thing. Them dowsing rods would not leave that doll. I don't know if it was, but I don't know. There has been a couple of investigations on that particular doll, and there has been EVPs and stuff picked up, and they think it had something to do with somebody that was at that temple through one of their rituals.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, first of all, I'm just going to say I don't do dolls. I don't like them. I don't do them. I don't go near them. And that's not because they're haunted. That's because of childhood memory. No, I'm just kidding. I just don't. I don't know what it is about dolls. It's dolls and clowns that I don't like, and I don't know why. But I don't do dolls. But just moving on and getting away from the investigations and some of that stuff. When it comes to how did I'm actually really curious about this, and I haven't asked you. How did Paralanx come about?
All right, so Paralanx was something. Oh man, I just went through Christy about it the other day. So I myself and my wife Crystal are actually the founders of Paralanx. Uh, there's actually three owners: me, Crystal, Courtney, and then you got Chrissy, Howard, and Megan that are co-owners through
Okay.
DBA.
I knew there was a bunch. Yeah.
So yeah, just six. Um, so how it came about was, man, many years ago. We actually came together. It's kind of the start of para unity type stuff. Um, it was actually called the Paranormal United Movement, and from the Paranormal United Movement, it went to a group of people for the same common goal, same thing that we're doing right now.
Yep.
Same common goal, coming together and help and support each other. And I'll say his name, Don Wren from the UK. Real good friend of mine. His dad owns the UK version of the Ectoplasm One car or whatever. He made it to whatever the car it is that they used over there. So we were really good friends, and he kind of dubbed it from saying the Paranormal United Movement, which is big long stuff. Let's call it Para Unity, and it kind of stuck from there. And then, as we were as a group, we didn't want to label that one person. We didn't want one person to be the head of anything. We wanted everybody to be together. So no one ever really took charge of it. Next thing I know, Para Unity popped up everywhere. But we still maintained the Paranormal United Movement. And then from there, I myself and a few other people were on Paranormal Warehouse, where we were doing live shows and stuff. And I was a show host for Paranormal Warehouse and doing locations. We started the Paranormal United Network out of the Paranormal United Movement, would be a kind of a side platform off of Paranormal Warehouse at the time. So we were going, it was the first real simul live broadcast that we do off of Paranormal Warehouse and at the time Paranormal United Network. And then it evolved a little bit later on as pun, because like I said again, people didn't like saying the whole word Paranormal United Network, so they called it pun. As what you've gone through, we've gone through many different changes, many different people, many different shows. I mean, we've had so many shows come and go, many different people in leadership and so on, different roles come and go. And it ended up being pun for a while. And then after the last, whatever that was, we decided to rebrand to Paralanx. And Paralanx, and the way to look at it this way is I just took it from the phalanx. And instead of just naming it the phalanx, Paralanx. And that way people can look at us as a group that has come together as an army.
Yeah. I
as
got
an
you.
army of family. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where we branded.
Yeah, and speaking of that, and like we've mentioned a few times, and like you've mentioned, working together, coming together, trying to build two platforms to make it better for everyone else. I don't think I've ever asked this question before on this show, and I'm going to now.
Make sure you
What
write
do
this
you-
down there, Matt.
Yeah, you might want to write this down, Matt. He probably says it on his show, anyways. What I know, you've been through some issues with Paralanx, and I've been through some issues with Parapost Network Central. What is your opinion on why there are so many people in this field that want to battle each other all the time and fight with each other all the time, stab each other in the back all the time? What is your opinion about that? What are your feelings and thoughts?
Well, first of all, I don't. It could go two different ways. For the most part, when you first meet and get with these people, they're good people. They do whatever, and I don't know if it's just ego steps in And when ego takes off, it kind of just destroys everything, or at least what we were working for. I mean, right now, Paralinx is not about me. It doesn't. Paralinx doesn't care if I'm the founder, co-owner, or anything. It's got nothing to do with me. It's got everything to do with our host, our people that work behind the scenes. That's it. It's got nothing to do with me. I don't give two dams if I'm on some newspaper somewhere or on some television program or whatever. As you look at me, my face ain't made for TV anyway. That's not what I'm about. I'm about giving people in this field a voice.
Yeah.
I'm people who don't have that platform. We offer that platform for them to have that voice. And not only that, is they can go live from locations. And then the next thing is education. We have lots of people, good people on our side that can and will educate people proper steps, proper ways to do investigation. And I'm not talking about we know everything, because we don't. None of us know everything, or we wouldn't still be doing this if we knew everything. But gives them a outlet that they come to if they have questions. Many good people in our network, and your network as well. And that's right. And that's where, like Irene, that's where we all come together and ask questions and give answers the best we can, and try to put it all together to see if that's the problem.
Yeah.
Or not.
And I don't know if you remember me talking about this to you when we spoke on Messenger a week and a half ago, and what I wanted to do with the page, with Parapost Network Central. And a lot of people don't know this, and obviously people are going to find this out now. But what did I say to you about the monetization? I wanted to get this page monetized. And you told me, well, you don't make a lot of money from it. Exactly. That's fine.
You don't.
But what did I tell you I wanted to do with that money? I wanted
put that
to
money back in
and put that money back in and boost everybody's show. Because obviously if you boost stuff, you have to pay for it. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to monetize the page so I can get that money, whatever little money it is, and boost everybody's podcasts on the page. And that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And you feel the exact same way I do. It's about putting that money back into the page and for everybody to build and for the page to build. Because at the end of the day, I could care less about if it got 40, 50, 60,000 followers. For myself, I could care less. What I care about, for the page, what I care about is everybody that's on that page is growing. And everybody's getting a chance to see what they do and what they have a passion for, what they love. Because everybody that do these type of shows, it's because they love it. They love what they do, whether it's from paranormal, whether it's selling clothes, whether it's selling jewelry, whether it's selling rocks like crystals. People love doing it, and that's what I wanted to do for everybody on the page. And I know Stephen is the exact same way, and that's why we're doing this, because we love this industry. Lex loves this industry. Stephen loves this industry. And, obviously he's been in it since he was 17 years old, and that speaks volumes right there. So, you wanted to say something, Stephen?
Yeah, real quick, you're talking about the monetization. So, Pun 1, Paralinx 1, is monetized. Now, I've heard rumors out there that people are, oh God, they're making all this money. But you know what? I've got screenshot. Matter of fact, Brian, I'll let you actually go in the page and look.
I know you told me to do that. I know. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're not getting rich. We're not getting rich, but we are putting it back into the network itself.
Yep. and that's what it's about. Anyways, Lex, you can go ahead.
So just two things. First of all, I wanted to say that that's a really good way of looking at it and looking at what to do with the small amount of money you can earn from this stuff just to help everybody. It really shows a sense of honesty about who you guys are, which is obviously Brian. This is why I partnered up with you. This is why we're really good friends. That your whole stick is about being there for everyone in this community, and I wouldn't be where I am without you. So like, it just shows really genuine stuff. And I think the problem with our industry is not the industry. The industry is great. I think the issue we've got there are people in this industry who don't care about it, and they think money is the only thing that they need. That money's the only important issue here. Whereas 90% of this industry is people looking for answers for a question they're never ever going to get a real answer for, and if they do find an answer for it, it gets shouted down by non-believers. Right? That's kind of our job right now. So I think. The more of us that bound together, like with your networks, pulling everyone into the same circle and stuff, hopefully we can kind of drown out the egotistical money chasers, and hopefully they'll just go away on their own. I hear very little from them nowadays, which is nice. But so I think it's just, again, it must be refreshing for the people that watch all the shows, come on here today and see you guys talking and just seeing how honest you are about wanting to help everybody. And I'm pretty sure but everyone can believe you. You know what I mean? So if you both showing that you're dependable, reliable people and honest about that. So I just wanted to say that was awesome. Secondly, I just have, does anybody know Steve White? He was in the chat earlier. Does anyone know him personally on here? Cool. He asked us a question. I'm going to put it to you guys. And then if you can just let him know that we answered it, because I think he had to leave, but he can come back and view the answer to this. So he asked us this in the chat. It's a good question. What are your thoughts on what cause on beyond the grave calls? When people receive phone calls from deceased friends and relatives, have you got any thoughts about how that could be occurring or why that could be an occurrence?
I mean, how can a spirit box be an occurrence? If a spirit wants to communicate, it will find a way through a phone call. That's why we experiment with all these different devices that we experiment with. I mean, I've done cell phone experiments. I've done phones with static phones just to see if a spirit would come through. But we're not in the point in the field yet where we can give a definite yes or no that the spirit's doing that. But that's why we working so hard, and that's why we come together with our networks, is to put these experiments together and have more of a broad people carrying out the same experiment, and we can put all of our research together, keep trying it until we find something right. That way, if let's say one team in the UK is doing it, and we got another team up in Arizona and New Mexico and Texas that are doing the same experiment, we can all give our feedback to each other and find out what's right or wrong. That's the important part of a network, actually. I mean, that's us networking our abilities to find these answers we're looking for, like that question he asked. I personally don't know that answer, but definitely something I'm going to be looking into.
Yeah, it happened in my. I'm the same way, Stephen. I believe that spirits will try to do any way to connect with, especially with their loved ones. It's happened to my mother. Her mother passed away. She got a phone call within a few weeks, and it was actually not. And I really hope it comes down to the fact that not somebody was playing a prank, because that's pretty fucking sick if you ask me. But she got a call from her mother, and all it said, it was very roughly, it sounded like this woman was 300,000 miles away, and it said "love you," and it was done. It was gone, and that was it. And she said it was definitely my mother had said that, and that came through the phone. And keeping in mind, this is not with cell phone. This was on a rotary phone.
Oh, like a dial-up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, definitely. And it was a moment that I took a step back after hearing about it. I took a step back and just said, wow, they will do anything to try to contact you in any way possible. And that was done. That was done. It was an incredible moment. I haven't really ever talked about that story, but I know some people in my past, that have had the same thing happen. And it's usually, now I have a friend that happened to, but it happened the day of her passing.
Yeah.
She got a call, same thing, rotary phone, same thing came through, is I will miss you and I love you. And that's all it was said. And it was done. It was gone. And so I totally believe in that theory, Stephen. I really do. They will try any way to try to get in touch with you. So
Yeah, it's definitely. I just thought it was a really interesting
I agree.
question because it's a it's a really touching phenomenon. I have heard of it. I've never experienced it. I don't know anyone that has, but it's a really, really touching thing. And I just want to take one more question here from the chat before we move on. This one comes from Amanda. Yeah, I think me and Brian may have answered this before, but I just want to get Stephen's answer here. So, do you do anything to protect yourself from attracting something, from latching onto you and bringing it home from an investigation? Do you have anything to say on that regard?
Yeah, I mean, that's an important part of being a team. That's an important part why I don't think people need to go out alone. Always go with somebody, and do your investigations, conduct them right, and we don't walk onto an investigation or anything, or just in urbex, because I do urbex too. I go out and do urban exploring like nobody's business. But I won't do it without putting my protection up, and that's as simple as a prayer. That's simple as having certain stuff that I take with me. And Brian knows what I'm talking about, because I got certain crystals and stuff that I keep around for those reasons. Certain little that I definitely keep them on me to ward off bad things. Yeah, I've been to places where I've had an attachment, and let me tell you this: having an attachment is one of the worst things that you'll ever experience in this field. That is something that I've had 2 attachments, and one came from a cemetery in San Angelo. It's something dark, and it almost tore my house apart, my family apart.
Wow.
From me and my daughter just going. And my wife didn't even go to this investigation, and it was just bad. So it took us some time to actually cleanse that and get that out of our house, and it still didn't 100% work. So we ended up having to move out of that house anyway. The next time that I've had something, it didn't attach because we did the proper stuff that time, but it did linger its effects around us. And it's the first and only time I've ever witnessed and seen a demon. Out of the 30-something years I've been in this field, only once have I ever seen that. And it was so bad that clergy had to be involved and get rid of it and help us out with that. But since then, yes, we've had, we're Paralanx, we're real close with the church. We have people in clergy that are on our, kind of on our staff. So we always, especially in, like, this is an important part of the network. If someone has problems like that, we can definitely get a hold of somebody that can help you, because that's what we're all about. Same as Brian, we are here to help you. But I know I danced around the actual answer, but yes,
No.
ourselves.
No, that's
because-
good. That's good.
You know what? I've always really been on the fence about crystals, about protection, and stuff like that. I've always been on the fence about it, but I had something happen to me about a month and a half ago that was something that was pretty serious. I'm not maybe one day I'll get into what it was, but I think I know Lex knows. I've told Lex, but somebody reached out to me that I know and said, you know what, you really, really need to start protecting yourself a lot more. And so I am, like, I got this on me now, and I got this on me now, and I got some crystals right beside me right here. I think I got about 4 or 5 of them in this fancy little bowl. Yeah, well, I have that, but yours is much bigger than mine. So, but I've always been, like I said, I've always really been on the fence about all that stuff, but I've noticed a difference since I've noted a big difference since I've gotten it, and I got some stuff in my bag as well to take with me on investigations. And yeah, I know you showed me that. Last week. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, because I had a couple of things around me, and nothing really malicious. Yeah, that one's cool. I like is that the angel one that you showed me? I believe you have an angel one too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's it.
Yeah. So now that I've been wearing it, and I don't know, maybe it's more psychological than anything, that I now wearing it, maybe for some reason psychologically it's now changing my mind about things because I'm feeling better. Or is it really working, or is it still just a whole lot of hoopla that people have been feeding us to years because they want to sell a product?
I can tell you what this is. It's so attachments, right? There's obviously you get different kinds. The majority of them you get from people that are not strong-minded enough, or they're going through a lot of dark stuff. And this kind of puts out an energy around you, and something latches onto that energy around, and that's how you carry it with you, right? So people that have just gone through loss and then find themselves in this environment where something can get them, it's something like that. I think this shows you the power of belief. So Brian knows firsthand my relationship with anything, with all kinds of religious stuff and whatnot. I not really proclaim to one. But I do have a pendant I wear on every investigation, which is before I go on like a long period of investigating, I go to a church and I have it blessed by priests, and it's a big brass pendant head thing that's bathed in holy water for ages, and then I wear it, and I've always felt great. Now, I think this is where the power of positive belief comes from, because when you are told that wearing this, you are completely safe. If you believe it enough that your body is putting out the energy of someone who is safe and protected, a negative spirit is going to leave you alone. It doesn't find you vulnerable. And this is why you find attachments to children quite common, because they don't know what they're up against. So they've got all their weird stuff going on as kids. They find the smallest things devastating, so they're easy to latch onto. And people who don't believe in anything, they also quite prone to attachments, because they go through bad stuff all the time and have no idea of their surrounding and what they're doing. So I think what you're saying, they're trying to sell a product, I think you're kind of half right. But I think a lot of this stuff is to do with your own self-belief, and that changes your energy readout, puts out a more positive spin on you. If you're strong, positive, and powerful, why would something small, dark, and depressing try and attach itself to you? Because it's going to get overpowered. So the minute you're going into I never go into an investigation if I'm having a bad time, because I know that I'm vulnerable. No matter what I do, my brain is still going to be thinking of it, and I know that I'm going to be vulnerable to something. Whereas every time I go out on investigations, I'm always in a really positive place. And then that pendant of mine is something that alleviates that off there for me as well. So it gives me an extra abundance of positivity, knowing that I'm safe. And that's why I think that works.
There you go.
Yep.
I knew that was, as soon as I said that, I knew that was going to come up. What Matt said.
Well, can I say this?
Yeah, go ahead, Stephen.
Can I say this real quick? Instead
Yeah,
of,
go ahead.
protection is great, and it's important. I think it really is important, and I agree with what Lex said. The spirits, whatever, feels that they feel your energy, and they feel that your energy is dominant. They're going to leave you alone. But what I think is more important than just protecting yourself is grounding.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because when you get done with that, you've got the ground.
Yeah. Yes, I'm starting to become a lot more aware of different things in my surroundings, and um, obviously, you guys know I love this field, but I'm deep diving in other things that are going on in this field as well, like stuff around you that I've been really looking into, and I agree with what Lex said and what you have said, Stephen. I'm starting to see things a little bit differently than I have in the past, but anyhow, so let's definitely move on. So when you're out on a paranormal investigation, Stephen, and you are grabbing for your favorite piece of equipment, what other than the camera
And yourself. Don't say yourself.
and
either.
yourself, what are you grabbing for?
Of course, myself has to be there to have the camera, but um, and you want to know, basically, you want to know equipment.
Yeah, what's your favorite piece of equipment that I'm going to give this two parts because I know Lex has done this in the past. What is your favorite piece of equipment? And if you're watching somebody else investigate and you see a piece of equipment that you don't like, what is that also? So your favorite and your least favorite.
All right, so my favorite is going to be the EDI Plus, and the EDI Plus is because it has, well, the EDI, I think it's five different devices on one. Temperature, and not only because it has all those different devices built in it, but it also has an SD card, so it's an actual data logger. So you can actually record all the data you get from that one device and put it on charts and stuff. And what my favorite thing to have on the EDIs have like 5 or 6, put them on stairs, put one on one stair, little, and one a few feet away, and so on, and actually watch them light up as something comes down or up those stairs and give those readings. And then out of all 5 of those devices, you can get the SD card out and put all their information together. And so it would be, or put them on a charts, and you would actually have a scientific explanation to whatever phenomenon that you have picked up. Now, the second part, and I'm going to say this, is SLS and Connect. And I've done 3-year study on the SLS.
That's now, if you don't know Lex, that is Lex's excitement pose when he's very much against something, and then he hears our guests say the same thing. So,
My lord.
yeah,
SLS
I've
cameras,
done a
man.
3-year study on it.
I'll let you finish what you're saying about them first before I say anything, but yeah, I'm just glad you said it. Sorry.
So, okay, all right. In theory, it's a good tool in a very, very controlled environment. Now, the only way you can have a Connect actually work and actually something come up on it that's actual is to have it stationary and nobody touch it. So the way it works is I think it's 1,500 pixels of laser that goes out into a grid, and it kind of goes on a flat surface. But see, it's how you use it too. So if you have it stationary and on a flat surface, and let's just say there's some type of movement, then yeah, that's something possibly you could think about that may have caused that. But 900% of the people that buy them and use them don't know how to use them. They put them on their hand, they walk around with them, and every time they hit an object, one laser is going to hit that object, and then something, bam, is going to show up and start wiggling its arms, and oh God, let's get on this, and oh, it disappeared. But if you're moving it and you're tricking those lasers in the corners of doors and surfaces or lamps, it's tricking the device into think it's actually moving. So out of the 3 years experiment I've done with it, it doesn't matter. I mean, I could have my body armor here sitting on a table. If I run that device across it, it's going to pick up this bottle every time, and it's going to throw an arm or a leg off of it.
Yeah.
If you use it in a controlled environment, like I was talking about, on a flat wall, flat surface,
And that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
99% of the time, 99% in the 3-year study, maybe 1% of the time something will actually show up in that camera that's not supposed to be there. But I'll let you go.
I like
for it,
that
Lex.
one.
Tell me.
I like the Connect and the SLS. I really like that choice because, and you're right, Stephen. Every time I'm watching a video or I see something, somebody using that, what they're doing is they're going around, walking around with it, and they point it at, like, even if you point it at a poster, and it's got a full person on the poster, it's going to show that stick figure from that poster. Like, I just don't understand. Like, the only way I seeing it working, like you said, having it stationary and pointing at a wall that has nothing on it, and hopefully something is going to walk by or something's going to appear. But I don't know. When I see the Kinect, I think of that stupid app. That stupid app that's out there, that Ghost Tube app that's out there. And I'm on TikTok and I'm watching all these videos, people using this stupid app, and I'm yelling through my phone going, it's the tree, it's a tree, for God's sakes. It's the cemetery, when they're in a cemetery and they're doing it on a gravestone. Oh, it's like, oh my God, it's like people. And then the problem is people believe this stuff. That's the real issue right there.
Well, people are also getting clever. Yeah, I could say Karma Wild in the chat here. This first comment was, I mounted my Kinect onto a tripod. It's too heavy to hold, right? And I was like, okay, cool. Please don't tell me you use it. The next comment from mine mapped my fake pineapple as a person. So the other reason why I hate them, and I think I need to make sure I got this right. I'm pretty sure it's Get Haunted, who has a lot of. They appear on loads of top 5 compilation videos, and it's always the SLS images of you see something on the SLS, push him, and then he falls over the chair, and the other one disappears. And I was like, cool. Now I can make that with my Xbox by, first of all, filming me do this, and then overlaying that stickman footage over the other one of me falling over the chair. And like, there's so many of them. He's got like ones where one climbs over his bed, and I was like, well, clearly it's your partner who's doing it, and then you're just cropping her out of you're like erasing her body image out, and you're only laying the Kinect footage over the top, which makes it so it's just so stupid. The minute I see an investigation use it, I turn it off, because you're not going to trust what they're going to use. Like, even if they're the most trustworthy investigators, and they put it on, just skip forward 40 seconds of the video, because anything they find here is bollocks. They're going to say it's not because it's appeared on their SLS cameras and they don't fake anything, which is fine. Everything else they might do is actually legit. But the minute they start telling you that, something walked in the room, it appeared on... No, it didn't. It didn't. I'm never going to believe it. I don't care how many raw footage files you send me. It's bollocks. Right? It's not even worth you using. And GhostTube SLS is the worst one. The best thing is when they've got the Ovilus on the same thing. And I downloaded it and I let it run for ages in here. And I did it one day, and I wrote down every word that came through. I then did it a week later, and I just left it on again. I got all the same words. And I was like, so if you leave it on for 20 hours, just on, eventually you just get every single word out the same way. They'll come out in different orders, but it's a word bank. You're just going to get sent loads of random stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But yeah, SLS, I hate it, so I'm so glad you said that.
You just struck a nerve with me on that last part. There's another one, the Boo Bear. Jesus. I'm at the Old Park Hotel for an all-night investigation, and I put the camera on a Boo Bear just to prove it was Boo Bear, and it was on a loop, like we had it on there for 24 hours. 24 hours.
Yeah.
So like every 10 minutes it'll say the same thing over and over again. Same thing and over again. And yeah. And then it also, not only would it say the same thing over again on a loop, like every hour or so, the lights would do the same thing. It would be in a pattern. The lights will light up within a pattern. Yeah. So if you're doing like a 10-minute investigation, you're like, oh, something going. But if you actually set it there and actually watched it, you'll see that these things are programmed. So any real investigator would just use the tools that work. I mean, the basic of tools that you could use is an object like this bottle and a tape measure. And what you do with the tape measure, and people are like, oh my God, why would I use a tape measure in paranormal investigating? Well, you try to get a spirit to manipulate and move this, and you paint a point or put a little pin mark, and if this thing moves, you want to see by how much it moves. Or if you can get the spirit to manipulate it to move by 1, 2 inch, 3 inch, you have your tape measure to be able to prove that.
I mean, simplicity. I think simplicity is something that's getting lost in this investigation. Now, obviously, I'm a huge fan of the spirit box. I believe in those, so I'm happy to use those. I think spirit boxes are great to use. I think REM pods can be hit or miss, but okay, they're generally good to just have on. K2 meters, fine. They're kind of the basic. It's kind of a chalk and cheese of the paranormal community. Like, we always have K2 meters. That's fine. Don't mind any of those. But I think the things that people need to remember is, like, when they're going out and getting all this new tech, you don't need it. You can do it. We get motion censored fucking toys that only go off when you move past it. We use cat balls in our tour, and that was the first time I used them. I've now got a whole rucksack full of the cat balls because I think they're fucking awesome. Bells, string. Just, you don't need to have all this like high-end stuff to be an investigator, and I think that's where we loot. I think that's where probably the downturn of our industry starts, is when apps became a big part of it. I know there are paranormal groups that make apps, and there's one that I downloaded. I think it's called Spirit Talker, and it's got a K2 meter on it. And I was like, in my phone's going to be able to detect this, right? And it doesn't work, obviously. And I was like, oh. How imagine so the one bit you advertise, and you have to pay for this app as well. So I'm paying for a K2 meter in my phone, which is also an Ovilus, which is okay. I'm paying for two things. If one of them doesn't work at all, why am I going to trust the other part of it? Exactly. It's just so silly. So I highly recommend everybody just don't use apps. Leave your phone in the bag. You don't need it unless you're using the voice recorder. You don't need your phone on an investigation. Just leave it in a bag, use your other bag, get a different bag with all your actual stuff in it. But it's just, I mean, I'm guilty. I used to, because I don't have a spirit box yet, I've had to use Necrophonic, and I've spoken about it numerous times on this show, where I tried to break into the back of it and work out if it's legit. Now, is it? Probably not, because it's an app. Is it the best I had at the time?
Right.
Yes. But since I've done season 1, I haven't used Necrophonic, and I'm never going to go back to it. So now that I've got my hands on better stuff, actual stuff to use, but I think that's where the downfall is. I think tech is a dangerous thing for this industry to a degree. The Kinect proved it. The minute people thought they could disconnect it from their Xbox and walk around with it, and it's like, okay, here's a million new fake videos going up on YouTube and discrediting all of us, like. Just a pain. Anyway, let's move on. I'm just glad you said it. I think that's the second time someone's agreed with me on the SLS. I love it. So I would like to... So I just want to run through these two very quickly. What's been your favorite place to investigate and why?
My favorite place to investigate would be... I actually have two. Old Park Hotel, Ballinger, Texas. Yeah, look at Brian.
Well,
But,
no, I'm just
hey,
sitting here and
that's the
we're having a great discussion, and I love what you're saying. I love what Lex is saying, and then all of a sudden he brings out the Dr. Pepper and he's drinking out of a big, huge fucking
Mate,
bottle.
if this is how you get sponsorships, yeah, you keep going, and if this one doesn't work, I've got backup plans.
Well,
So
yeah,
just-
I have this too, but you know,
Like,
it's water, but it's
do
like
you
so
ever
big,
need to-
and he's like doing this with it. It's like-
Do you ever need to check the time on a paranormal investigation? I never have to because I always have my Casio watch.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying, if you want, sometimes you just gotta do anything you can do possible. Get the show a sponsor, bros.
Oh God, that's hilarious.
I
Oh
know,
my
the big bottle's a
God.
trademark. I've been drinking out of these big bottles forever.
Casio.
Oh yeah, always. It's
Casio.
classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have sponsors back there.
You have what, sorry?
I actually have sponsors back here. Ray's Energy Drink. That is one of our sponsors.
Oh wow.
Did
But
you
you
have
don't
to,
see me wearing-
did you drink loads of it on
Or we-
camera until they contacted you, or did you go out and contact them? Because my technique is not
They
working.
contacted me.
A year off the show,
They
Brian.
contacted me, and
A
yeah,
year.
they
I've been drinking
contacted
this
me
on
and
camera.
gave me a big. They gave me a big box of 50 different drinks, all kinds of different stuff. They actually gave me T-shirts too. But the whole thing of T-shirts on the wall is all the Ray's Energy Drinks T-shirts.
Nice. John, just
Lex,
But
quickly
it will
the
answer
only
your
way you
question.
make
Lex, it will happen, buddy.
I know, that's
It
why I
will
keep doing
happen.
it. I'm going to get even bigger bottles. I'm going to get one that's so big that it's just going to be stupid. It's going to be
Why
behind
don't
me
you
the whole
just put
time.
a Dr. Pepper poster right in the back of your wall?
I'm going to just sit like this the whole time.
that's it.
That's it, man.
Oh, well,
Dr.
this is my co-host, my third co-host.
Well,
He's
here's
got
an
a
idea
doctorate.
for you. Here's an idea for you, Lex.
Email them, I know.
Yes, just email them.
I know. Anyway,
They're owned by Pepsi, right? They're owned by Pepsi, right?
they are owned by Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola,
No,
okay.
I think
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Yeah.
Hang on. Are they?
Or is it Sprite?
they're their own company.
Are they?
Yeah, they're not. They're not owned by them. So yeah,
Dr.
they
Pepper's their
can.
own company.
Right, that's it. I'm getting on the phone.
So
Anyway,
just
just-
email them. Let's
I
just
know,
get
I
it
always
done.
forget. I
At
always
least you.
forget.
What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say no.
That's true.
Who are you, and why are you messaging us?
I know. They'll be like, "Why do you want to sponsor us?" I'm like, "Well, I drink about 90 liters of you a week, so let's give me some credit." I know it's all I
awful.
drink. It's disgusting.
Airtime.
So just want to quickly
Gives you a
answer John's.
free advertisement.
Yeah. Just want to answer John's question really quick. Who's your funniest host on a show or guest? For me, it's Matt Barron off the.
Where did that come
Par-
from?
He's
Matt
in the
Barron.
chat, so yeah,
Parafood.
because he's
Really?
funny as shit. But yeah,
The-
Paracrew
Par-
podcast.
I
Yeah.
think of,
Paragraph.
I think of a few other people before Matt.
But I don't know. It's like Matt is easily one of my favorite hosts on the show. He makes
There
me
you
laugh
go.
every time. Look at the stunt.
Scott
Pick
used
one.
to work for Pepsi for 6 years.
Scott, do you fancy going back and working for them again and pushing them in my direction?
Yeah, Matt is saying it's owned by Coke.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah. Scott.
Yeah, yes, it
well,
is. It's
Scott,
there.
he's pretty funny on his podcast.
Yeah, Matt is pretty.
Just-
And
just saying.
don't take that the wrong way, Matt. You are a funny guy. You're a great guest to have on the show. So it's interesting though. I'd have to really sit
Yeah,
down and
Matt's
think
funny.
about that. I think I'd have to go through all the shows and find out who's been our funniest. So
Fuck no.
okay, well that says a lot right there. So,
Fine.
but so Stephen, did we get his
Yes.
favorite place? Did we get his favorite place? I don't think we did.
Sort of
I
until I
almost
drank
said
out of this.
Yeah.
So I said I had two favorite places. One
Yeah.
being the Old Park Hotel, Ballinger, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rich history there, and just the area around it. All the different. I used to live like 3 blocks away from it. It's lots of good old West history there. I like that place, that location, because it's before it even become a paranormal venue. It used to be an antique shop, and we used to go up there and get paranormal activity when it was an antique shop. And the owners were kind of freaked out about it, but now Dan and Connie bought the place and they turned it into an actual paranormal venue now. But still, it's probably one of my favorite places. Next favorite place is Salina, Kansas, the Masonic Temple. It's 8 stories of man
Hell,
activity. Uh,
8 stories of
yeah,
hell.
well, yeah, pretty well. I wouldn't
I've heard
say
a lot about that
hell.
place.
It's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful building, made with marble, the best thing that money can buy. I mean, I've got an envelope over here of all the stuff, the research behind that building, um, and the amount of money they paid for it to put it together. The basement's pretty damn creepy, and the sixth floor where they have the Masonic uh, rooms in the red room, the next room over, and I actually have video of that where I
Yeah.
fell down and busted my ass back in 2018. Uh, Actually, they have a hole in the very far corner that you take the lid off, and it's like it looks almost like a little dungeon. But that was built as a ritual for the Masonics. There's a way out of there that takes you 3 more stories down once you find a way out, but you got to find the key that's hidden to get out of that exit. Of course,
Mm.
me being who I am, I found it and went through it, and it brought me out somewhere I wouldn't even figured out where it would. I wouldn't have figured it'd come from that area, but yeah, I went through that entire building. It's something else.
So, 2 great places. I've heard a lot about your second one. I've heard a lot about that, and definitely on my list. Further down my list. Now we do have a question here from Scott again. What is everyone's dream location to investigate? Me and Lex are on the same page on our first one, and that would be Suicide Forest, obviously in Japan. The second one for me, it's really climbing up there because I'm hearing a lot more about it, is Alcatraz. Would be my second spot. I've had a couple of people reach out to me in the last couple of weeks and talking about it, and that would definitely be my second place. I'm hearing a lot more about it. I'm hearing a lot more on what's going on there, and that's why I'm getting a lot more intrigued on. Now, if I wanted to spend $24,000 on a night of investigation, um, uh, that's a lot of money to be.
Just do it. I'll give you a pound.
Yeah, $24,000 a night to investigate is a lot of money. So, but it's definitely one of my favorite places. So now, I don't know if you've watched our whole show, Stephen. Matt, get ready. Get your book open and pen, please. But always at the end of our show, we always have one question that Lex likes to spin it in a way that has something to do with this particular show. So we're coming to that question now, and no pressure, Lex. There's never any pressure, but you know, some of these can be a little bit far out there. Really, really far out there. Now, if you can, Lex, try to keep it a little bit brief so Matt is able to write it down. And yeah, so there you go. Matt's able to write it down and copyright it. So there you go. I'm ready to write.
This one is brief. This one is brief, but I thought of it like,
I'm
within the,
just
like
kidding. You don't have to make it brief. He can play back the show and
I
bring
thought
it.
he could. I thought of today's question 10 minutes into this show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got it early doors. I knew what I was doing. So, Stephen, you have a history of imagining buildings where they aren't and stuff like that. You've kind of got that. Maybe it's a magic power. Maybe you went to a wizard school and you can just building. There it is, and it's gone. Now imagine you did have that ability, and you made a building appear around you, and you accidentally pulled the biggest bank in the world around you. Around you is all the money ever collected around the globe. As you leave with all that money, I ask you to do one thing, and is to use that money to investigate anywhere in the world. Where would you go?
Wow, that was good. Did you get that, Matt? That was a good one. That was within the first 10 minutes of the show. That was good.
Okay, I'm going to answer that in 2 parts.
Ooh.
Because The one part was, um, I guess the first question, your dream location would, for me, is Pergovia Island and Malta, two locations. I have a friend in Malta, so I'll get there fairly cheap with all that money in that bank. So I will do it kind of cheap because I already have a friend there that would help me get into Pergovia Island and all of Malta and the vaults and stuff there. And then I would put the rest of that money back in to Parapost and Paralinx networks and make it the best thing ever.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh,
I like that a lot.
That is
Hey,
so
we
good.
can't. You know what? We can't blame the honesty there. That that was a great thing. That was awesome. I like it. But you know what I found really really interesting about that, because we've had a lot of Americans on our show. And we always say this, me and Lex, it's funny, it's something that happens every single week, usually when we have an American on. We're offering them all this money in the world and they want to stay in the States. It's
Yeah, the amount of
refreshing.
times, it's so funny.
Refreshing when we hear somebody from America saying that they want to go outside of the States. So it doesn't happen very often with Americans. It's weird. It's you guys are dedicated to your country, which I highly respect. I do, but all the money in the world, and you want to stay in the same country, the same place. You go to the UK or
I'm practical.
No reason to come to Canada, to be perfectly honest. Well, I guess maybe there is. The Tranquil Sanatorium is a good place to go. That is the number one haunted spot in Canada, and a lot of people want to go there. I know you do, Matt. Matt wants to go to Toronto. But it's nice. Like I said, it's refreshing that somebody said from the States, outside of the States. But we've never heard of Malta before.
No,
We've never had... Sorry, let me rephrase that. We've never had Malta before. So that is definitely something really, really cool and really different. And I like that. So,
and also, cool. Amanda, it's good that you say Auschwitz, because that is actually number two of my top three places that I'd like to go and investigate. Obviously, being British, it's a big part of this country. Like this country studied it all my childhood. It's all we learnt about. So I've always wanted to go and feel it for myself. So yeah, definitely would put that on my list. But also, yeah, I love the fact that you said you'd give all the money in the world. So we had another clever answer once where they said they'd go to like everywhere, because I've given them all the money in the world, right? So they can just do whatever they want. So that's but this is the first one we've ever heard someone say they'd take the change of that money and just put it back into the project. That's a really, really cool thing. So I like that answer. That's a very
me too.
First one.
I like it
first
too.
time.
I like it. Well, Stephen, what a great show. It was really, really awesome that you were able to come up today, and I got to learn a lot more about you. And you obviously know that I respect you, and I'm glad we're working together. And let's see where we can take Paralinx and Parapost Network Central. See where we can take it, because I think we're going to take it to places that, and I said this to you, I think we're going to be able to take it to places that nobody's seen on these platforms, and people are going to be coming to us wanting to be on our platforms for the reasons why we're growing it. So because people are going to start recognizing what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve, and that's by really getting rid of the garbage, and focusing on the people that love this field for the right reasons. And that's why I put out that post today, saying that me and Stephen, neither of us are in it about us. It's about, me. It's about everyone else. And hopefully we're going to achieve that. It's only 2.5 weeks old, 3 weeks old, but I think we've already made a dent. And it's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Thank you, Jenny, for coming in the room. We appreciate that. So I just want to say my thank yous for coming on today's show. And for everybody that's in the room and people that are watching this replay, All the Paralanx links are in the description below. So do us a solid. Go over to Paralanx. Give them a follow. Go. I think you gave me your YouTube as well, right? I think you gave that. I can't recall. There were a lot of links.
It is down there, yeah.
So go over to YouTube and give them a subscribe. And by the way, if you are subscribing to their YouTube channel, it is very important that you hit that bell notification, because if you don't, eventually what's going to happen, YouTube will take you away from that channel. And just watch some of their videos, leave some comments. That way you're going to stay on that page. Again, thank you so much for coming on, and I'm going to say my goodbyes. And Lex?
Yep, just once again, thank you, Stephen, for coming on. It's been a great time getting to speak to you today. And I think, like as I've said to Brian about his project with the network, I think I love what you're doing with yours. And
thank you, Amanda.
Still overwhelmingly lovely to see people in this field who are all about the people and not themselves. So it's really refreshing to hear it. But I just want to say thank you for coming on the show and for generally having some really good things to say as well. It's been a very interesting and fun conversation, and hopefully we'll see you up on here again and some other members of your network.
Absolutely.
Good night, Stephen.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Wow, that was good. I really enjoyed that, and I like the whole Malta thing too. That was super cool, and I like his some of his theories on, or some of his opinions on some of the questions that we asked him was really nice. And one thing I love about this show, and I've said this before, once we get into really talking to these people, one, the show goes by like that because it's like almost 2 hours. And it doesn't even feel like that. And second, we get to learn about these people and why they're doing what they're doing, and why they have such a passion for what we do and what we enjoy. And obviously being the paranormal, and obviously other things too involving the paranormal. We just don't want to talk about spirits. There's other things too, So it's just stuff that we love and we love to hear, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think, again, the other reason I like the show is, like, if you're coming to the show and you don't make this content, but you're very interested in it, you get to see what these investigators are like on a down-to-earth, real person level. And as we have people sending in questions, we're asking them, they're getting the answers they'd like. It's a good way to interact, and remember that everyone is a human being. And it's great to know them. It makes you feel like a bit closer to the person you're watching, and that's what I especially love about this show, is being able to bring the public closer to these creators and these investigators. So I love it.
Yeah, and also I would get a kick in the butt from a few people if I didn't mention this. If you want to go over to the Global Ghost Hunt, we are open. We are accepting teams, haunted locations, and you can go to www.globalghosthunt.com if you want to register your team, or if you have a haunted location, you can register as well and try to get your team out there. Or if you have a team that might be interested, they can sign up as well. And so definitely go check over Global Ghost Hunt. And I will say, over the next day or two, everybody in the administration staff has seen it. Merchandise will be going up in the next few days, so you can check out that. But I think it's important that if you're interested in the merchandise, you will have Global Ghost Hunt on there as well, but you can also personalize it to your paranormal investigation team, or whatever you want to put on it. You can put it on it as well. Like, for example, Lex can go to merchandise, buy a sweatshirt, put Global Ghost Hunt on it, and then put Lex Paranormal in the front if he wanted to, or even on the hat. So you definitely have that option. So that should be coming up in the next couple of days, and looking forward to seeing that. I'm trying to nail down, Jordan, to find out when the back is going to be open, when people can sign in, because there's something going on in the back that I don't know, that he says that's going to be happening soon. So I don't know what that is. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Also, Parapost Network's I almost said Central. Parapost Network, the app, has moved over to a new host. We've had a couple of issues here and there. If you want to go over and download it through iOS or Android, it is free. It is for paranormal investigators, UFO specialists, or UFOologists, I guess you want to say, supernatural enthusiasts, cryptics, and all that stuff. You can sign up there. It's completely free. You can see what other people are doing. You can communicate with other paranormal investigation teams. It's great. Somebody messaged me the other day asking, will I be able to meet paranormal investigation teams? I said yes. He went over and signed up. He's now talking to other teams now. And that's the great thing about that app. It's open up to the community. The community feed is for everyone. So as soon as you post it, everybody's going to see what you post. It's not like well, I guess it is kind of like Facebook, other than the community feed where you have to friend somebody. You can see everybody's stuff. So that way, everybody's going to see your stuff. And also, if you want to, if you have a YouTube channel, you can sign up and connect your YouTube to Parapost. That way, you're going to get more views, more likes through Parapost Network. And it's very, very simple. I've actually got on the timeline how you do it, and it takes literally 30 seconds, and that's it. And soon as you upload that, every time you upload to YouTube, it will automatically upload to Parapost. And that's going to give you more views and more likes and more followers at the end of the day. Who doesn't want that? So anyways, I'm going to say my goodbyes, and we will definitely see you next week. With who? I'll leave that as a surprise.
Unfortunately, Brian, I won't be here next week due to the
Oh.
it's the Royal week. Obviously, it's the Royal Morning weekend.
Yeah,
So I won't
get
be
it.
here.
I get it. Are you going downtown?
I'm gonna go down to Windsor and see my folks. Go
okay.
up to the castle. So put my flowers down. But yeah, so I won't be here obviously for that reason. But I will be back on the following weekend.
Okay. I'm gonna be. I think that's when I'm flying back from Nashville. So I'm coming back on the Saturday. So I'll be able to do the show on the Sunday. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Definitely understand why you're not going to be here next week. And for anybody else out there, have a great rest of the day, and we will definitely see you next week.
Take care.